Hi, I'm Zack Farmer, and this is the Ward on the Farm video blog for the week of June 6th. And it's usually my luck that whenever I say anything negative about the Giants, like I did this past week, they go out and prove me wrong again. Since last Tuesday, the Giants have had some of their best offensive outputs of the season, both in St. Louis and against Colorado. And this has all been key behind Aubrey Huff and Cody Ross, who have started to produce as expected, and the call-up of rookie Brendan Crawford, who has given the Giants more than expected at the shortstop position. Now the question is whether or not they can keep this up. If Huff and Ross can hit as expected, the Giants should be fine, because the Giants, it's been shown, do not need much help on the pitching side. They only need a few runs to help them win, and that's what they've been doing. One thing I still can't believe we're talking about again is the Buster Posey Scott Cousins collision, and the only reason we're talking about it is because of Brian Sabean's ridiculous, and as Florida Marlins outfielder Logan Morrison called, unprofessional comments toward Cousins about his career and his future. The only thing I could think about was Cavs owner Dan Gilbert and his letter to the Cleveland fans about LeBron James leaving it. The part that I enjoyed most about the letter was this: "As you now know, our former hero, who grew up in the very region that he deserted this evening, is no longer a Cleveland Cavalier." This was announced with a several-day narcissistic self-promotional build-up, culminating with a national TV special of his decision, unlike anything ever witnessed in the history of sports and probably the history of entertainment. You simply don't deserve this kind of cowardly betrayal. In the meantime, I want to make one statement to you tonight. I personally guarantee that the Cleveland Cavaliers will win an NBA championship before the self-titled former king wins one. The self-declared former king will be taking the curse with him to down south, and until he does right by Cleveland and Ohio, James and the town where he plays will unfortunately own his dreaded spell and bad karma. Just watch. And the comments Dan Gilbert made sound an awful lot like this: "If I never hear from Cousins again, or he never plays another game in the big leagues, I think we'll all be happy. He chose to be a hero in my mind, and if that's his flash of fame, that's as good as it's going to get, pal. We'll have a long memory. Believe me, we've talked to former catcher Mike Matheny about how this game works. You can't be that out-and-out overly aggressive. I'll put it as politically as I can state it. There's no love lost, and there shouldn't be." Sabean's got to let this go. There's no point in ranting and raving about the Posey injury, especially when you consider if this was Eli Whiteside, nobody would be saying anything. We'd be moving on and talking about Posey's recovery. Speaking of recoveries, Barry Zito is actually making rehab starts out in the minor leagues and should be returning to the big league squad sometime soon. The big question here is what happens when he comes off the disabled list and he needs a spot on the major league roster. There's no way that you can take Ryan Vogelsong out the rotation with the way he's thrown. I mean, when's the last time Barry Zito had an ERA under 3? Pretty sure he was actually still wearing green and gold when that happened. Speaking of the A's, they're the most befuddling team in baseball. They pitch great, they can't score enough runs. Then they score enough runs, but then the bullpen can't hold the lead. So exactly who is this team? And you can't say that it's not completely all on the offense or all on the pitching at this point. Josh Willingham and David DeJesus have started to heat up and are hitting as expected. You look at Willingham's numbers over the past couple of weeks, he is really starting to turn up the RBIs. But the biggest problem the A's have is hitting it with runners in scoring position. They only have 3 hitters who are hitting above 250 in those situations, and the one bat that definitely needs to pick it up is Hideki Matsui. If the A's are going to challenge for the division, they're going to need to step up their production with the runners in scoring position. It's the only way. They have the opportunities, they're just not cashing in. With that said, follow me on Twitter at WOTF Sports Blog. I'm Zack Farmer, and this has been The War on the Farm.